Hello and welcome to episode 4 of this Let's Play Factorio Space X series. In the last episode we built this shopping mall and we built a whole lot of science rocket stuff that we need, stuff that's all good and stuff that gets us to the next level more importantly. But if you look at the thumbnail for that last video, that last episode, what you'll see is that it was about 80 odd hours that it took me to make that. And the reason is because this wasn't just what I did in that episode. There was a whole lot of other stuff that I had to deal with. And let's have a look around the map and let me just take you through. And one of the big stages was when I was doing the rocket launch. I ran out of iron and steel. I did not have enough iron and steel coming into the base, and I had to kind of pause the rocket launches in order to build that iron and steel so I could get to a first rocket launch, so I could record the right stuff, so I could get the episode out. It's just a nightmare. Anyway. So in order to get to the stage where I was producing enough iron and steel to make a rocket launch, I had to build a whole lot of things. One of the things I had to expand my base a little bit more so I get to this patch of iron just down here. I had to expand my base a bit more down here so I get to this patch of iron down here. I had to hook up some train stations. So I've got some train stations delivering iron ore now. I've also switched on all of the chlorine, oxygen, hydrogen chloride stuff for rocket fuel. So I've got the rocket fuel, so I needed the rocket fuel for rockets. And now I've got the science. I'm researching all of the things that I need, like a nice new power armor. And what I want to do is I want to just continue on that kind of track. There's a whole lot of little things that I need to do. Like, primarily, I want to get blue chips going so I can have some new power armor. I want some exoskeletons. I want some kind of fusion core. I'm pretty sure I saw some sort of fusion core I can put in my armor. Just a whole load of little things that need switching on. So it's kind of a continuation of what I was working on then. The end of that last episode was switching stuff on, increasing power. Just looking down here, we've got some sort of train problem. Okay, so lots of little things. Let's get on with it. So, I'm just taking a little break from my current task, which is to take apart, dismantle my starter factory, because it mostly serves its purpose by now, and it occupies a really nice, juicy piece of real estate that I want to use for a monster nuclear reactor, K2SE setup, uranium ore processing. All of that stuff needs to go in this box. So, that's what I'm currently doing, but I'm taking a little break because I'm about to be hit by my first solar flare. And it's the first solar flare that I've had where I've got an umbrella and I've got some kind of steam battery setup. Now, I've been looking on Google and I've been talking to a friend of mine on Discord about how to go about doing this. To be honest, I couldn't get to grips with it for a little while. It was very confusing to me, but we've got something here. It's been running for about 5 hours, so it's not completely full. I've got, 15% in here? So what's that? 330 times 12. 360k of 5,000 degree steam. And let's hope that that's enough to see me through this particular sofa. It's actually quite annoying that it's hitting me at night. Anyway, what I've also got set it up, I've set it up with a switch so I can turn it on. And while I was looking for the switch mod, I found a mod that I've been looking for quite a while. So it's like a remote switch, so I can activate it anywhere. So I've got this new tab up here. I can go to here, and I can switch on this whole setup as and when I need to. So well, we're not actually that far away. Let's have a look at the countdown. 40 seconds. Right, let's just watch this countdown for a second. Get to about 5-10 seconds. Hit the go switch, and let's see what happens. Oh, that did not last very long at all. Oh dear. Oh, here it goes. Yeah, okay. Where are we? Oil. Oil again. So it needs more than 5 hours then. Okay. Alright, let's go repair my oil when this finishes, and let's get back to taking apart my starter base. And we have some processing, some nice uranium processing, lovely stuff, and our nuclear power stations. But this, all I really wanted this for is for this nuclear fuel, so that I can put it in my armor and power stuff, so that I can run around quickly with my exoskeletons. That's all I really wanted this to. I obviously need to go somewhere, but for this moment in time, that's all I need it for, because I haven't got access to K2SE. I need like some kind of special block, which obviously comes from outer space. And what I've just watched the last clip back of me dealing with the solar flare, and I wanted to talk about this remote switch just a little bit more, because I'm really pleased that I found this thing. But I've had this mod, a particular type of mod in my head for some time. It goes back to my experiences with Angel and Bob, because I was dealing with a lot of different fluids and a lot of different. I didn't really know how they were interacting with each other, and I couldn't get to grips with it. I never really fully got to grips with how they all interacted, or come up with a good circuit network that addressed the problem. I never really got it perfect. I mean, I got it working just about, and it worked fine, but it was never really in the sweet spot, in my opinion. And the mod that I wanted to address the problem was these remote switches, but this is just like one part of it. So the first part of it that I wanted was like a remote sensor. So I wanted to be able to attach a sensor to a tank, and then so that I could see what the level of the fluid in that tank was at any point around my base, so I could see how the levels were interacting. Like right now, I've got a few different oil recipes in this base, which I've not had before. And I'd really like to have a little tab up here which shows me the relative levels of my heavy, light, and petroleum fuel level. I've got tanks in there that I've set up. If I could attach a sensor to it so I could see how they were interacting with each other, one was going up, one was going down, etc., that would be really nice to have without having to stand directly next to those tanks. So that's the first thing of this mod that I really wanted. And the second part was the switches. I mean, this is kind of part of it. I wanted then to have a remote switch, this kind of thing that I've found, so that I could pump those flows in different ways depending on what I wanted to happen. I mean, this isn't necessarily relevant to vanilla or even with the mods that we're dealing with here, but in Angel and Bob, it would have been really, really useful to be able to switch flows to go to different places remotely depending on what those relative levels were. And so that, ultimately, that, you know, it would have allowed me to explore the ways that a good circuit network, how I could have come up with a circuit network to address the problem. That was what I was really, I couldn't understand how the flows were happening. So, and then the third element of this mod that I wanted was a display. You know, something up here which displayed all this information with whether it be buttons or sensors or whatever that system was. I wanted it all. So in my mind, what I've found is one part of that. You know, what's probably going to happen is someone in the comments is going to come, Mr. Bigfoot, oh, well, what you need to do is you need to download this mod and then happy days. But anyway, I suppose I'm just happy that I've got the remote switch. That's a nice thing to have. Moving on. Now, what I've found over the last few hours is that everything is taking a very, very long time. And I have a funny feeling it's because it's a big base and I haven't had a proper exoskeleton up to this point. But also it's because I don't really know where I'm going. You know, if you give me a Factorio problem and that problem is somewhere in here, I think I stand a good chance of getting to the grips with it, getting to the bottom of it. You know, I've got methods and mechanisms. I've got a few mods that help me out. Like, you put something in here, I think I can get to grips with it. But what we're actually talking about now is some whole new game mechanics of how we fly to different planets, and I just don't know how to go. So what I've decided is I'm not gonna go to Google. I'm gonna try and figure this out by myself. I'm not gonna ask my mate on Discord. I'm literally gonna just figure it out, make mistakes, and see what happens. You know, I've been reading a lot about in here in the Informatron. Very useful stuff. Very useful stuff. But it's not everything. It doesn't cover everything. So space. All right. Okay. Let me tell you where I am. Oh, no, not that button. Is it this button? No, not that button. This button. Okay, right. So we're obviously in Navis, not whatever it's called. And there's a Norvis orbit. So I can view the surface of this Norbit. This is, ever since I blasted my first satellite into space, I've had this annoying little thing. And I didn't know what it was. And I think it's this thing. So there's a base here. Okay. So I've set myself a challenge to get to this base. Just land on this place, wander around, have a little, you know, figure stuff out, see if it kills me, and then successfully get back to my base planet. Just gonna set the bar really, really low and just see see what happens. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's the target I've set myself. Let's move the camera away. Oh, how do I get out of here? No. Here we go. Is it that? Right, yeah. I'm going to move the camera away from the nuclear power that I've got set up and then it's not running because we've got no Covrex. And I'm going to move it to another part of the map and then we're going to start building some rocket stuff. And I'm going to try and explore some space. You know, finally. All right. We are presented once again with a whole host of materials ready to be put into a nice big new piece of factory. All good. We've been here before. What I want to talk, I feel like I'm getting to grips with the rocket launch. Like that's what I really want to talk about. That's where I've. So, what I'm about to say might entirely be obvious to or wrong. I don't know where I'm going with this. So, this is a new cargo rocket silo. We launch rockets from this thing. It lands on a cargo landing pad. And my understanding is that it's a one-way ticket. Like, we construct the rocket lands, then we deconstruct the rocket, and then wherever we are where this rocket is, we take some of those rocket parts out, we add more rocket parts to it, and then we construct a new rocket with that, and then that's the one that returns. So it's like a one-way trip, really, for these rockets. And it leads me to the point where how much of a factory am I going to need to build on all of these bases? In order to construct a rocket, in order to move, am I going to have to ship rocket parts to bases? It opens up a whole list of possibilities of where this might need to go. Logistically, this is going to be really tricky. Anyway, what I need to do is I've got a story, I've got a picture in my head of how I want to do the time lapse, because that's really the important thing. At the moment I launch myself up into space, the time lapse almost needs to pause until I figure out what the next thing is that I'm going to build. It could take me a few trips into space, a few excursions, a few expeditions to really find out where I need to go, what I need to build, so I want to get the time lapse sorted so that I can start exploring. And what I want to do is put all these materials into the factory, and then there's a setting in this time lapse in here for a player tracker. So what it will do is it will follow me around, and it's one of these other things in the time lapse which I've tried before, and it's very tricky to get it just right. The settings in here from a certain perspective, we can record too slowly and the camera will move too. So if we start running around, this camera will follow me around wherever I run. If I set it up wrongly and I run too far, then the camera will move too slowly, and it will be like a video of where I was and not where I am. But I could also set it up wrong in the other way, where I run too fast and it's just like a slideshow, and I don't record the shots too quickly enough. It just becomes a slideshow. Nothing interesting happens. So I want to use this player tracker primarily because I'm interested to see what happens whilst I'm in space. What does the time lapse record? If I've got this set up on me, I mean, to be honest, I don't really know. I don't even know what happens when I get into space. Do I just instantly arrive, or is there a travel? I don't know. So I'm going to set it up with the player tracker. I want to see what happens. So whilst we're zoomed out, we're going to see all the materials come in. Then I'm going to move it to the player tracker. We're going to zoom into me, and then hopefully I'm just going to run into the rocket and launch myself off into space. And then we'll have another chat, I suppose, because that's as far as my understanding goes at this point. Wow. Okay, let's do it. Well, that at least did what I've expected to do, which is nice. It landed me on my little platform thing, whatever this is called. Now, if I'm being completely honest, it's taken me 4 goes to get here. Now, lots of scrap. The reason for that is for the time lapse. I haven't changed anything. I've done it the same way all 4 times. The same inventory. I haven't gone and collected anything, regardless of what I might have learned on those trips. I'm trying to stay true to the journey, really. Even if I'm trying to kind of manipulate a little bit in order to achieve certain things, you know, with the time lapse and stuff. So I'm here, good stuff. A few things I wanted to talk about. Firstly, I'm going to have to redo this trip a few times because I was expecting the space capsule to remain. I was not expecting that to self-destruct. So in order to get back to Novice, I'm going to have to use the space capsule that is here. I knew it was here. I was kind of expecting to use the one that I brought me here. But so I'm going to have to use this one to get back to Novice. But then obviously I'm going to have to capture some time-lapse. So I'm going to have to come back bringing 2 space capsules, put one of them on the landing pad, go back to Novice, and then set up... Or maybe I just go back to this... Maybe I just cheat a little bit and use the save file that I've just used. Maybe I'll just do that. That's probably easier. Anyway, a few things that I've learned from being here, or at least confirmed some things. So, space science. We've got a whole load of space science up here. So that tells me that I need to set up some kind of rocket that brings the science that I'm developing on Novice to this base. That feels like step 1. Like I need to set up some research. I go back to conveyor belts. I really need blue conveyor belts, and the thing that I need to get blue conveyor belts is this next space science pack, wherever it is. Oh, have I not unlocked it? I haven't. Okay, let's get that going. So that will be job 1, is to set up some kind of... I've got to obviously dismantle all of this and set up some kind of space science with a rocket, incoming cargo rocket. To be honest, I mean, that's a good test. It's a good... Another benchmark to meet. You know, my first step was to get to space, get to here, and I have done. And now the next step is for me to deliver cargo. What? What? Oh, that's the Novice. Oh, right, okay. So it gives me alerts while... Right, okay. This could get... We're going to have alerts all over the... fun times. All right. So, first steps now. I want to just run around and get some coordinates sorted for the time lapse. I need to define the space that I'm capturing. And then I might want to... do a few more launches just to play around with some settings on the time lapse. Once again, I've got a picture in my head of the thing that I want to achieve. So let's see how many attempts it takes me to achieve it. Yeah. Still learning, still learning. Oh, no. Oh, come back. Come back. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Come on. Yeah. Oh, okay, don't go into space. I need fuel for my jetpack. I think that's the problem. All right, lesson learned number whatever. Right. Right, so we are entering the chaos stage of this series of videos where I can't plan anything, I don't know what's going on. And so ordinarily I would like a few, well, at least 20 odd seconds of time-lapse footage and a whole lot of little bits of clips of me doing stuff, sped up, you know, break it up, nice bit of music. But I can't plan for anything, so that's all you're getting is me clearing up that, what is it, platform? I'm going to call it a platform. So here we are, ready for trip number 2, official trip number 2 into space. I'm a lot better prepared this time. I've got a whole load more stuff, and the game is the strategy that I'm gonna have to use going forward is just starting to come into view. So I've added a few bits and pieces to the base. I've added some of these thingies, which are the radar, the signal receivers, and the signal transmitter. And I've also got some of these. Why aren't you constructing? Oh, I haven't set it up right. Missile delivery cannons. That's the thing of me jobs. Yes. So that's what I'm planning because. Okay, so someone said to me when I made this shopping mall, someone said to me, "You can't make that. You have to make that in space." I think they were referring to the space manufacturing. I just kind of like put it to one side. I think someone else pointed out that I needed to do some sciences in space, and that point has slowly come into view. But the catalogue of things that I'm going to need to make in space it's starting to come into view, and oh man, it's going to be. I'm going to need lots of little things like. I need to make these space transport belts. They can only be made in space, so I need lubricant. Now, they on that platform, there's some barreled lubricant and there's some barreled heavy oil, which I'm presuming is to make more lubricant because we use this lubricant to also make cosmic water, which I'd put a pipe in my main bus for the shopping mall for cosmic water because I just assumed I could make it on this base in Navi, but I can't. I've got to make it on my platform. I've got to make it in space. So, I mean, this is just not the only thing. I've got to make this science pack. So I've got to import a whole lot of stuff onto the platform, but not a lot of stuff, not a lot of volume of stuff. So I'm thinking, just to get things going, I'm going to use those delivery cannons, just to fire a few things at this platform that I can use to research stuff so I can get to the next point. And I suppose I'm also going to have to, at some point, set up those same delivery cannons to transport some of the research, because I'm going to need all these other research, you know, all these 5 researches up into on my platform. And my plan is just to do that with delivery cannons at the moment. I watched a video a couple of months ago about the different mechanisms that can be used to transport stuff in space. So I am aware of what is available. Like, I know that there's a space elevator coming up way down the line, and that's going to be really useful. I mean, I have just demolished a whole lot of space rails on that platform, so I know that it's coming, but it's ways off. So when I was watching that video about delivery cannons, I thought, oh, I'm just going to pass that by. I'm just going to go straight for rockets. But, you know, with all the whole missile defense mistake that I didn't put in my starter base, I feel like, you know, the delivery cannons might actually have use, because we're not transporting a lot of stuff. You know, these big cargo rockets, they transport a lot of stuff. They're very expensive, and that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for small amounts of little bits and pieces. So that's kind of where my mind is at. And I'm also, you know, at some point I'm going to have to. Someone else mentioned barrels just yesterday, and I was like, well, I don't need barrels. I haven't been thinking. And obviously, I've arrived on that platform, and there's barrels of heavy oil and lubricant up there, and so I'm going to have to set up some kind of barrel system that can barrel up this liquid, fire it off to my platform, collect up those barrels, deliver them back to here, and then balance all of that, and then the logistics of this. I was not appreciative of the required logistics of this at all. This is a whole much more complicated mess of a thing than I was. Anyway, let's get on with it, because I've had enough of me talking, and I want to just get building stuff. So, let's go. I think I've got everything right. Right, let's go. Ooh. Okay. You've landed me in space. Oh no. Oh, there's so much learning to do in this game. I can't... Yeah. Come on. I've got a landing... I put a landing pad. I put a landing pad on the platform. Why have I not landed on my landing pad? Yeah. My God. Oh, cargo. Anyway, we are here. Let's start unloading some of this stuff. Okay, let's do this. Okay, status update. Not much is really happening on the platform. It's just, oh, I've been looking in other places, so it's not set up right. Here we go. It's really just a very, very basic setup, just so I can research some science. You know, there's some key sciences that I need to research, and actually one of them is the technology to melt some ice, which I still haven't done yet. That's on my list of things to do. There are actually some things that are more important than that, and that is to address the biters who have been attacking me quite persistently. And so my priority has been, up to this point, is to unlock those military techs that I haven't been able to access up until now. So uranium ammo, that was one thing I've just introduced to my factory, so that's now whizzing its way around. I'm obviously mixing it with the red armor at the moment. The turrets will pick up whatever they want, and over time more and more uranium ammo will be added to it. That's fine by me. So that's going, that's nice. I've also upgraded the projectile damage. That has quietened things down dramatically. They're not attacking me. They're not being able to destroy anywhere near as many turrets as they were before. And I'm just researching artillery now. What I want to do, I want to start moving them away from my base. I'm obviously making quite a lot of noise, and I want to move them all away. I want to have a perimeter wall here somewhere, well away from my base, somewhere in here, you know, out here maybe, you know what. So I haven't really got an awful lot of, you know, ammunition, technology to be able to defeat them. You know, my tank's still pretty limited. I have set up some uranium cannon shells, but my plan is to just run up to my perimeter wall, put down a couple of artillery turrets, feed them with some ammo, obliterate as much as I can, and then clear it up with the tank, move the perimeter wall out. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bust out my perimeter wall blueprints, the one from my vanilla one, because all of the things in that vanilla turret wall, the perimeter wall segments, are all stuff that I have access to. Now, I probably won't feed the flamethrowers with fuel. That's a whole another logistical nightmare, but for the rest of it, I think that's what I'm going to do. It'll just give me some nice protection, some roboport coverage, and that's another thing, really, to be honest. Power is an issue. I'm relying quite a lot on solar power. The coal power is pretty running at, you know, it's running at top speed most of the time now. It's not an ideal scenario. I have thought about turning on the uranium power because I have got enough U-235 now to be able to make some fuel. Like I can probably make some fuel for some long period of time without Covarex. Like the uranium has been processing for quite some time now, so I've got quite a lot of the U-235. Let's have a quick look. What have I got? 589 plus whatever's in these pipes. I suppose that's not a lot, particularly when, where are we? We're dealing with a fuel that one of them requires 2. Yeah, that's not going to get me very far there. So maybe I need to really get to, maybe the primitive ore can wait, because the rubber ports in that are going to draw a whole lot of power. I need to think about that one. Anyway, moving on. I'm still going to defeat the biters. I'm still going to move the primitive wall out. I'm just not sure what primitive wall. I might just bang down a very, very simple one for now, just to keep the power demands down. I mean, that's why I haven't fitted this out with a roboport network. I mean, that would be really nice as well. But those things, they play absolute havoc with the power. So I'm really reluctant to do that without putting... without the uranium fuel. So anyway, back to the platform. I've obviously got to build some kind of more impressive factory here. This is not going to get me very far. This is just going to tick off a few boxes, and that's really all it's good for. I really need something a lot more serious. And in that respect, I've been kind of thinking about how I'm going to address this problem, because there's an enormous medley of ingredients, this catalogue of ingredients that I said before, that needs to be brought to the space. And it's how I approach that problem. And I mentioned a little moment ago that I was going to use the delivery cannons, but I've been thinking about it, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to my original kind of gut reaction to the thing, which was to go for the rockets, because ultimately that's the thing that I need to learn how to use. You know, the delivery cannons, they're not going to be long term. Then you know, okay, I've been making a list. Let me just show you my list. This is all the stuff that there was 2 things actually. On the left hand side, we've got the list of stuffs that I want to make in this new factory that I'm going to build. This is just the stuff that I know about at this moment in time. There's probably going to be extra things that I need to add to this list. And then on the right hand side, I've been trying to design a rocket. You know, how much stuff do I need to deliver to this platform in order to, you know, achieve certain good targets. You know, I'm not going to just build a small base. It's going to be something significant, and I know that I need to research some space scaffold, and that might be expensive, but I'm prepared for that. I want to be. It's going to be, the base needs to be what it needs to be. So on the right hand side, I'm trying to design a rocket, and in work, you know, in looking at this, really, in hindsight, delivery cannons are not the right way to go. There's way too much stuff here to be transporting with delivery cannons. I think the cargo rocket, my thought process, I'm committed now anyway. So I'm designing a rocket. How much? I've got a certain amount of cargo space that I can utilize. What proportions, what ratios of stuff do I need to bring? How much of it can I allot? So at the start, I thought, okay, let's try out 5,000 science. Let's set that as my benchmark. What are the things that I need to bring to this little platform in order to bring 5,000 science? You know, that 5,000 science might need to last an hour. Let's just say that you know, a period of time between rockets arriving at this platform is an hour. That's how long that 5,000 science needs to last. What things, so if I brought those 5,000 raw science, you know, each of those individual 5 science is 5,000 of each. What other things do I need to bring in order to match that ratio? So we need 1,000 cosmic, well, let's start at the top, 1,000 blue chips, that's the number on the left, and then on the number on the right, that's how many cargo slots it would occupy in a rocket. Then 1,000 rocket fuel, that's 100 cargo slots, 5,000 stone, that's 100, 15 lube, that's the negligible amount, 2,000 small motor, 1,000 low density structure, that's 20, 2,000 steel plate, that's 20, and then 10,000 lube in barrels is 200. Now, if you add that up, that's 450 cargo slots in a rocket that I'm using with just this stuff. and that doesn't even include the 5,000 science. So immediately that was too much. So I've dropped it down to 2,000 science. So from here, this is the actual rocket that I think I'm actually going to do. So 400 blue chips, 400 rocket fuel, etc. on the left, and then the amount of cargo slots on the right, with a total of 196. That gets me up to the space belt. And then I've got a whole load of stuff beneath that on the right and the bottom, which is the stuff that I'm going to deliver to the platform in order to make the ingredients, the space stuff on the left. You know, there's a whole load of stuff on the left which needs individual ingredients, and I need to make that stuff. And that isn't necessarily stuff that I'm bringing to the platform for science. So at the bottom right hand corner, that's the additional kind of miscellaneous stuff. Then we've got another table just to the left of that, and that is the total. So I've got low density structure that I'm bringing in for the space stuff. I've also got low density structure bringing in for the science. So I added them together. We've got a total number of cargo slots that I'm going to use on a rocket of 266. Now, obviously, we've got 500 available on a rocket. I'm just giving myself enough room for further expansion. You know, there might be other space stuff, that might be other ingredients I need to bring to this platform in time. So I've got basically half the capacity of the rocket to, and if I don't, then I can increase these and maybe get more performance out of the factory that I've got up here. Who knows? That's my starting point. So now the issue that I've got in my head is that we aren't going to permanently need all of these resources. Even with science, we aren't going to. So military tech cards, we aren't going to permanently need 2,000 science worth of military tech cards. We're only going to need that when we're researching the stuff that needs military tech cards. So I need to regulate all of these ingredients. I need to regulate the delivery of all of these ingredients to this platform so that I only deliver ingredients that the platform requires. And that means that I'm going to have to set up a circuit network on here with some chests. So my plan at the moment is to have one of these landing pads with some loaders that come out of the landing pad, immediately go into a chest. I'm going to connect those chests to a circuit network, and that's going to measure how many of these ingredients we have on this platform. And then I'm going to send those circuits back to where I launched my rocket. And the current plan... I keep hitting these wrong buttons. Oh, nope. There we go. Oh, I've got a bit to run. My current plan is to build like a rocket silo like I have done here, but just with a single rocket silo. I'm going to build it somewhere over here because a lot of these ingredients on the list I've already got here. So I can bring these through down into a rocket silo where I can control how many ingredients are going into that rocket silo depending on the circuit networks that I'm receiving back from the platform. And then I'm also going to set up some lights so that as the platform requires something from the factory, it turns on a light. I'm going to need some text. So I can label this stuff so that I can monitor what stuff the platform requires, how that delivery is being achieved to the cargo silo. Like if we are not delivering enough of a particular item, then I want to be able to see that, because that will hold up the whole, one of these processes, a single one of these materials not being delivered to the cargo at the required rate will prevent that cargo rocket from launching in the plan that I've currently got. And then I'm going to have to, because again, I'm going to have to set some, I'm going to have to set some conditions. So we've got 11 things here. Let's just say that the platform only needs 7 things. It might need 9 of those things next time. Oh, we're going to... Anyway, there's a whole thing here, a whole really cool little setup that I'm going to have to build with some lights and some tags and some stuff. It's going to be... I'm getting really, really excited about it. And that's another reason why I'm going to do cargo rockets and not delivery cannons. Because, once I started making the lists, started designing the aspect, I was committed. I was like, yeah, this is really exciting. That's a really tricky problem to solve. However, just as the artillery turret is about to finish researching, so I can go and start defeating some biters, we're going to bring the episode to an end. We've done plenty today. We've explored some space. I've done many frivolous trips to space to, take maybe 500 barrels of water as one of those trips. That was all I took. Frivolous is probably the right way. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, we'll bring the episode to a close, and hopefully next episode we can start addressing this platform problem in a much more serious kind of nature. I want a proper factory. Proper one. A good one. Anyway, I hope it's been good. Till next time.